I hope everybody is having a wonderful Thursday. And thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you. Thank you. Let me put this down just a little bit. There we go. I think I'm kind of better there. All right. Good morning. Thank you, educator. Oh, I read this topic. That's all I've read is the topic. And is protect your peace of mind. Protect your peace of mind. Of course, this is our daily reading from the Daily Stoic. And in January, we focused on clarity. Let me move that out of the way. In January, we focused on clarity. And in February, the focus is passions and emotions. Passions and emotions. So today is February 12th. The title is Protect Your Peace of Mind. Here's the quote by Epictetus, if I can ever say that correctly. Epictetus. Keep constant guard over your perceptions, for it is no small thing you are protecting, but your respect, trustworthiness, steadiness, peace of mind, freedom from pain and fear, in a word, your freedom. For what would you sell these things? Wow. Now, let's get to the reflection. Let's get to the reflection. The dysfunctional job that stresses you out. Let's read that again. The dysfunctional job that stresses you out. A contentious relationship. Life in the spotlight. Stoicism, because it helps us manage and think through our emotional reactions, can make these kinds of situations easier to bear. It can help you manage and mitigate the triggers that seem to be so constantly tripped. But here's a question. Why are you subjecting yourself to this? Ooh, here's a question. Why are you subjecting yourself to this? Is this really the environment you were made for? To be provoked by nasty emails and an endless parade of workplace problems? Our adrenal glands can only handle so much before they become exhausted. Shouldn't you preserve them for life and death situations? So, yes, use Stoicism to manage these difficulties. But don't forget to ask, is this really the life I want? Every time you get upset, a little bit of life leaves the body. Got to say that one again. And I'm internalizing that. Every time you get upset, a little bit of life leaves the body. Whew. Are these really the things on which you want to spend that priceless resource? Don't be afraid to make a change, a big one. I'm speechless. It's speaking to you. Hello, y'all. Welcome in. Welcome in. It's speaking to you. Um, I have to let that sink in for just a second because I always say, I have to protect my peace. I have to protect my peace. But reading this just took that saying to another level for me. Um, gosh, it's so interesting when we tolerate certain things because we have to. And I'll be the first to admit, I don't really know that we can totally just step away from some of those things that tend to stress us out. but I know that we can't get comfortable being in those situations and remain there and letting those situations become our norm. We can't do that. To protect your peace of mind, and as this reflection talked about, when we're in situations that make us angry, make us anxious, although we can use these tools that we're learning to understand how to process those reactions, we also owe it to ourselves to protect ourselves. Because just like he was saying, every time we are angry, or every time we're in a dysfunctional situation, or we receive a toxic email, or we're in a toxic situation, we use our adrenal glands as a flight or fight reaction. And every time we do that, we lose a little bit of life. And what he's saying is, don't allow those things to continue to weigh on you. Okay? When they continue to weigh on you and you continue to use your internal organs to fight them, we're shortening our lives a little bit at a time. We're shaving it off. He's saying to protect your peace and use all of those reactions as much as you can when your body actually needs to. Not a situation that you can control, but actually understanding when to use them when you really need to. I'm going to read the reflection one more time, and then we'll go to our card. And you all jump in the chat if you want to add anything to this conversation. I love the engagement. The dysfunctional job that stresses you out, a contentious relationship, or life in the spotlight. Stoicism, because it helps us manage and think through our emotional reactions, can make these kinds of situations easier to bear. It can help you manage and mitigate the triggers that seem to be so constantly tripped. But here's the question: why are you, I can say me, why am I subjecting myself to this? Why are we subjecting ourselves to this? Is this really the environment you were made for? To be provoked by nasty emails and an endless parade of workplace problems? Our adrenal glands can only handle so much before becoming exhausted. Shouldn't you preserve them for life or death situations? So, yes, Stoicism can help manage these difficulties, and we can use those techniques to help manage these difficulties. But don't forget to ask yourself, is this really the life that I want? Every time you get upset, a little bit of life leaves the body. Are these really the things on which you want to spend that priceless resource? Don't be afraid to make a change, a big one. Educator says, it's definitely not the life that I want for myself, but I put up with it as a part of comfort or security. That's so well said. I really think we all do that. We, a lot of times I hear people say, I'm stepping out on faith, that I'm doing this or that. And I find that very admirable. Sometimes I try to convince myself that that's what I'm doing, but I also have the support to fall back on. Okay. So it's not quite the same thing. I have to work on, and I've said this a lot lately, I understand that I have lived more years on this earth that I have left to live. And so if there are big changes that I want to make, now's the time. Now's the time. If not now, when? I don't want to be in situations where I'm constantly feeling anxious. I struggle with anxiety. And I don't want to, you say the same thing. Yeah. I struggle with it. And every time I put myself in situations because I think I have to, because my job depends on it or for other reasons, um, it takes a lot out of me. It takes a lot out of me. Now, I don't mind, I can get up and present in front of thousands, but there are some things that make me very, very anxious that I have to work through because of my position. And so I am going to really take some time to reflect to see if some of those things are non negotiable for me. And if they're a non negotiable, they're just going to be a non negotiable. I'm going to focus, and I hope each of us will focus on protecting our health, protecting our strength, doing what we have to do, but understanding that as much as we may feel cared about externally, the people who really matter to us and who suffer if we're not here anymore are within our household, our family. Okay? I needed to read that today. I really needed to read that today. Um I needed to put some perspective on a few things. And I started doing that the other day because I had started prioritizing some things that really shouldn't have been prioritized over some other things. I always say, and I don't know how I lost myself in this for a couple of weeks, but I always say, when you know your yes, it's easy to say no. When you know your yes, it's easy to say no. When you know your yes, it's easy to say no. And those become your non negotiables. All right, y'all. Here's the card for today. And as I drop it, excuse me, it reads: Action is the foundational key to all success. And that's a quote by Pablo Picasso. Action is the foundational key to all success. So let's think about our intention for today. When you get upset, particularly when it's an external factor and something that just has its place, stop and think and be honest with yourself. See if this is a pattern that you're living within, or is it a one-off? You know, a one-off doesn't necessarily create a toxic environment. But if that's a pattern in an environment, it is definitely toxic. Educator says, yes, action. Faith without works is dead. Yes, my friend, faith without works is dead. No question. Faith without works is dead. So make sure we're thinking about today. And when we find difficulties, when we find things that may seem like they're inappropriate or unnecessary and they're coming towards us and our body is reacting to it, whether we feel anger, whether we feel hurt, whether we feel anxious, recognize it, see if it's a pattern, and see if that's the life that you want to live. Remember today's title is to protect your peace. All right, friends. Let's see. Let's go see if there's somebody we can raid. You know, I love you guys. Love you guys. Mwah, mwah. Much, much love. Let's see who we can visit. And our friend Devin is on. So we will go say hello to Devin again, and we will see each other tomorrow. All right, y'all, let's see. Uh-oh, wait a minute. I think I may have done something incorrectly. There we go. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Bye now. Oh, thank you. Thank you, educator. As always, I appreciate the engagement. Thank you so much. Yes. And here we go.